and bringing the death toll from this week's landslides to at least 20. Heavy rains had triggered the slides that engulfed 6 small villages in an extremely mountainous region. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Hi, Mom.
New administration has hinted at one of its boldest moves yet. America's return to the gold standard. Backing the U.S. dollar with gold would create stability in a time of rapid economic change, pushing the price of gold higher than we've seen in decades. Those who act now could be positioned to benefit the most. Premier Gold specializes in helping those with a 401k, IRA, or other types of retirement accounts utilize a little-known loophole to move some of their savings into physical gold. Today, they'd like to send you a free gold standard kit to help you decide if this process is right for you. Call 606-800-8000 to take advantage of current rollover policies. Early action on physical gold could position your portfolio for maximum growth. Call Premier Gold at 606-800-8000. Call 606-800-8000 now. Premier Gold is not a financial advisor. Please consult with your advisor before investing. Call 606-800-8000.
Police and protesters clashing in Georgia after that country's ruling party suspended negotiations to join the European Union until 2028.
There's a large number of riot police moved in on the protesters. They deployed water cannons, there was pepper spray, and also suspicion, according to some of the reports from the streets, that some chemicals might have been mixed with the water because of the reaction that people were having. This morning I heard that police were chasing some of the journalists. They were beaten up, and 2 opposition female leaders suffered a broken nose and broken hand.
And Chance police used water cannons, pepper spray, and tear gas to disperse protesters after Georgia's prime minister made the announcement. More protests, though, are planned throughout the weekend. Breaking news and analysis, townhall.com.
Want to hear my success story? I'm Fran Halloran, the money coach. I'm celebrating a decade of partnering with The Point. It's one of the best decisions I ever made. I've used The Point to significantly grow my small business. It started with a meeting with Kevin Cohen. Do you own a small business? Are you on a limited budget? No problem. Reach out to Kev at 563-8558. Get a customized plan and start your journey to business growth with The Point today. Success is one call away. Take the leap.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
It's a Friday night in South Carolina, and that means high school football. Welcome to the Founders Federal High School Scoreboard with Phil Kornblut and David Shelton. We've got all the scores from across the state, plus game reports and interviews with coaches. The High School Scoreboard is proudly brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. Now, let's head to the Scoreboard Studios in Columbia. Here's Phil Kornblut.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the High School Football Scoreboard, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union on this lovely Friday night across the state of South Carolina. A lot of excitement in the air in South Carolina with the big Palmetto Bowl tomorrow up at Clemson, but a lot of excitement as well about high school football tonight as we have the state quarterfinals. We'll be down to the semifinals next week and then the championship weekend coming up after that. So we are getting down to it. Usually matchups at this stage of the playoffs, you get a lot of tight ones, and we've got that tonight. We also have some blowouts as well, as, you know, some teams are just darn good. Doesn't matter who they're playing or when they're playing them. Let's give you the finals that we have in at this point. In 5A Division 1, it looked like this tonight so far. It's Dutch Fork over River Bluff 52-14. Somerville beat Ridgeview 49-20, and Sumter defeated James Island 34-17. We have a third quarter score on Spartanburg and J.L. Mann. The Vikings up big in that one. by a count of 28-9. All right, we're going to interrupt giving you the scores because we've got a hot call on the line. That means Billy Baker is on the line. That means he's on the field. That means he's with a winning coach tonight. And Billy was in Charleston for Oceanside Collegiate. And Dylan, Billy, welcome in from the High School Sports Report, and take it away.
Hello, Phil. Oceanside, who has played Irmo this year and Dutch Fork and a top team in Georgia. What a non-region schedule that was. Tonight, they're up on Dillon 28-7 at the half. Dillon come roaring back, lost the game tonight by 7. Dillon got down to the 2-yard line with about 5 minutes to go and could not make a first down. But Oceanside, I'll tell you, story of the game, sophomore quarterback Aiden McNavian, may have put that last name, only a sophomore, over 200 yards tonight and 3 passing touchdowns. Quite honestly, Dillon just could not stop this sophomore. Great arm, 3 touchdown passes. So I'm standing by here with John Patterson, interim head coach at Oceanside, and he told me that he's already announced he does not want to be the head coach next year. So I said, well, Coach, go ahead and win the state championship. That would be fantastic. He has a very young team, number 70, a junior defensive end. He laid the wood all night at Dillon. He must have had about 12, 14 tackles. But here is the Oceanside winning coach tonight, John Patterson.
All right, Billy, thank you. They're over at the Citadel playing tonight. Coach, good evening. How are you?
Well, it's been a while since I've talked to you. I was the head coach at James Island, and I know you from years ago, but it's been a while. How are you?
We're doing great. It's great to hear your voice again. Congratulations. I tell you, you still have a couple more to go, but if you win this whole thing, they might make you take that job next year.
They can't make me stay. I want to be the line coach here. I told them, I said, I'll take the job as an interim on one condition. And they said, what's the condition? I said, whoever you hire, I don't care if it's Bill Belichick or Steve Spurrier or Rocco Nagurski, I don't care. I want the caveat is they got to keep me as the O-line coach. I have the right of first refusal.
Well,
they agreed to that.
Don't think there's any doubt about that. Congratulations, beating Dillon anytime, anywhere. That is a tall task, and you did it tonight. Tell us about I guess it was like a goal line stand. Last 5 minutes, you kept him out of the end zone. What was going on there?
Well, to be honest with you, they never stopped us all night long. But we did a pretty good job of stopping ourselves in the second half. We moved the ball right down the field, then we would fumble it. Or we moved the ball down the field, and we'd, ball come out of our hand. It looked like a forward pass, incomplete pass. They called it a fumble, and then just one thing after another, just shoot ourselves in the foot and put the defense behind the 8 ball. I don't think Dillon went the whole field all night long. Every time they scored, they got a short field, and that drive, they might have got the ball at about the 40 or 50-yard line, but I can't remember exactly. But
Fling had a long run.
They did have one long run. That's right. 2 got loose. That dude's a good player. 2's a good player, but that's the only one he really got loose on. But he's one of the best running backs we've seen all year, and that's saying something. But we got down to 2. We just had to go line stand, and then, God, when you're backed up in the shadow, you don't go. You always worry about ball security, and we just came out there and we pointed them off the ball pretty good there. Got a few first downs, and we had to have a big call in there. We threw the ball, got on an outcut, and I think they expected us to try to just eat the clock, and so we got a first down there, and that was pretty much it. We could just take it in the last 2 or 3 plays.
So you feel like you pretty much controlled this game. You had to like the way your guys, you talk about being the offensive line coach, you had to like the way your guys played up front then?
Yeah, we didn't give up a sack all night long. I don't even know if he got hit. The one time he got it was like 5 seconds, and we never threw the ball, and then it collapsed on him. But now, I don't know if that was a sack. You got 5 seconds, you got to throw it away or, take off running. But, we've protected the passer really well all year. The only people we had trouble with was those boys from Dutch Fork and some of those cats. But everybody else, we protected the passer real good, and then we ran the ball the last few weeks, so we've had a better commitment to running the ball. And of course, if you're a line guy, you want to run the ball, so it's good. And that helps control the clock, helps the defense, and all that.
Well, Loris or Keenan next week. I don't know if you guys have heard a final score on that down your way. Do you have a final?
I haven't heard a final. Last time I heard Loris was up by 10 with like 7 minutes to go. So, we're hoping Keenan will win so we can stay at home. But, their upper part of the bracket gets the home field this year. Our bracket had it last year, so we're both conference champs. But and Loris and Dillon in the same league, and I think their game was a very tight game. It was like a 3-point game or something. So I would assume it'd be a pretty similar caliber team, which will be a formidable opponent for sure.
No doubt. Well, congratulations to you and your guys once again. Great win tonight. Good luck next week. I'm sure we'll talk to you again.
Thanks, Phil. Hope you're doing well, and take care. And thanks for the call.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck to you. Always good hearing from you. John Patterson, longtime coach in our state. And as Billy said, given the reins at Oceanside, and he doesn't want it on a full-time basis. He wants to go back and be the line coach next year after he finishes up this year, but he's got more work to do with his team this year. All right. Appreciate Billy Baker, High School Sports Report, with the hot call. So, again, Dutch Fork beat River Bluff 52-14. Spartanburg is beating J.L. Mann in the fourth quarter. We have an update, and it is Spartanburg 35-9. So the Vikings, they are cruising to the Upper State Finals to play Dutch Fork next week. Somerville over Ridgeview 49-20, and Sumter has defeated James Island 34-17. Division II. Northwestern over Greenwood 35-6. Gaffney knocks off T.L. Hanna 21-7. Irmo 56, West Florence 7, and White Knoll beat Berkeley 23-3. That White Knoll defense nasty once again. In 4A, Westside continues to roll. They beat Camden big 49-7. South Point was leading Daniel 49-28. Let's see if I have an update on that. That was a fourth quarter score. It's gotten tighter. An update, it's tighter now. South Point 42, Daniel 35. Fourth quarter score. South Florence beat Hartsville 49-21, and North Augusta all over Gilbert 63-14. 3A. Belton Honeypath defeats Powdersville 35-14. You heard us talking about Keenan and Loris. Loris leading according to Coach, but we'll have to get a score on that as soon as we can. And Oceanside Collegiate beat Dillon 28-21, and we're looking to get a score here on Crescent and Mountain View as soon as we can. To this point, have not seen a final score on that. In the 2A playoffs tonight, it was Clinton in the showdown with Batesburg-Leesville, and the Red Devils put 31 points on the board to beat Batesburg-Leesville 31-14. So big offense and strong defense. And Barnwell edges Sherraw 28-27. Barnwell beat Sherraw. I hope we'll get a call from someone on that game. I've seen video from that game tonight where there was a play where a pass by Sherraw hit the ground, and you can see it on the video. At least people with good eyes can see it on the video. A pass by Sherraw hits the ground. A Barnwell defender scoops it up. It hits the ground, goes into his arms, and he takes it back and is called a pick six. But the ball, according to this video and others who've seen it, the ball clearly hit the ground. But the Warhorses got 6 points out of it, and they go ahead and beat Sherraw by a point, 28-27. That's a tough way to lose a playoff game. Still looking for a final on Philip Simmons and Manning and Central and Fairfield Central. Looking to get a final there. And let's see if we have a final on that. Just popping up here. Give me just a second here. Thought I saw something pop up on that, but no, those were other scores. And then, continuing with the scoreboard, in the 1A playoffs tonight, Abbeville defeats Lamar 41-24. Louisville, big over Hunter Connor Tyler 31-6. Cross in a tight one over Hannah Pamplico 12-7. And Lakeview outscores Bamberg Earhart by a final of 42-32. Okay, so that is what we've got for the scores. Let's go ahead and jump to others out in the fields tonight so we don't make you wait too long. Thanks again to Billy Baker with the hot call from the High School Sports Report. Let's go to Dennis Brunson also from the High School Sports Report. He was at the Sumter game tonight, and the Gamecocks doubled up James Island, and that's a good James Island defensive team there, Dennis, and Sumter beat them 34-17. Welcome in.
Hey, Phil. How you doing, man?
Good.
James Island's a good defensive team, and they showed it for most of the ball game. In all honesty, it was a good tight ball game going into the fourth quarter. But Sumter's defense really rose to the occasion tonight. Not that they haven't had their moments all season, but Sumter laid the ball on the ground on its first possession, and James Island recovered at Sumter's 23, and Sumter came up with 2 big sacks, and James Island couldn't get any points out of it. And then But it was scoreless going into the second quarter, and then Sumter's J.B. Burson intercepted a pass and took it back 53 yards for a touchdown to make it 7-0. And then Sumter laid it on the ground another time. Let's see, it was at its 18-yard line, and James Island. It was 18. James Island got down to the 1. 4th and goal, and they decided with the Dangerfield kid to go ahead and kick the field goal and not risk getting any points there. But so Sumter came out of that still with a 7-3 lead. And then Sumter, its offense had struggled up to that point, but then it started when James Island would cut the lead. Sumter's offense would respond. They came back with a 80 yards scoring drive with John Peoples scoring with a minute left in the first half to make it 13-3 at the half. And then James Island, they came out their second possession of the second half, got it in the end zone, 56-yard drive. Quarterback Connor Dancer scored on a 1-yard run to make it 13-10. Sumter comes back. Another 80-yard scoring drive. Peoples scoring from nine yards out to make it, again, with 1 minute left in the third quarter, to make it 20-10. Fourth quarter, here comes James Island again. They score to make it 20-17. Dancer throws a 7-yard pass to Jay Morris to make it 20-17 with 7 minutes left in the game. First play of Sumter's possession. Again, they're starting at the 20 with Dangerfield booting it into the end zone every time. And Franklin Richardson, the quarterback for Sumter, on an option. He keeps, breaks a couple of tackles, goes 80 yards, 27-17. And then Sumter holds them, and then they put together a scoring drive with Peoples scoring his third touchdown of the evening. That makes it 34-17. That came with about 3.5 minutes left, and that pretty much summed it up or finished the game. But, Sumter's offense, while they James Island kept them at bay certainly for a good part of the ball game, they are still very explosive, and they can be explosive, and as you can see, they can drive the ball a little bit too. But Sumter's defense had a very good game. First time they'll be playing in the Lower State Championship since 2020, when they that was COVID year when they lost to Dutch Fork. I think it was 24-0 was the final in that game. And Dutch Fork, that was Antonio Williams and the Taylor kid at quarterback. And Sumter only trailed 10-0 at the half, but they just couldn't generate anything offensively that game. But Sumter goes to Summerville, and I still stick by what I've told you the last couple of weeks, Phil. I think Sumter's going to win I think something's going to win Lower State. I really do. But we'll see. But David's talked about James Island's defense all year, and they're stout, no doubt about it.
Dennis, thank you so much, man. We appreciate it. And again, Sumter wins it with good defense and plenty of offense. It's the Gamecocks over James Island, 34-17. Will that be the only Gamecocks in the state to win this weekend, or will there be another set of Gamecocks winning tomorrow? I had to bring that up since it's right around the corner. And we have a – go ahead, Dennis.
Oh, I thought you were asking me.
Well, I know what you think. But we got to go.
Wait.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you're the Clemson fan, right?
I plead the fifth. All right, thank you, Dennis. We got to run. Appreciate it. Talk to you next week. South Point and Daniel, that's gone final, and South Point outscores Daniel 49-35. So South Point and Westside meet next week. Man, there might be 100 points scored in that game. So South Point over Daniel, 49-35. Westside beat Camden, 49-7. We'll be right back.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
Set your youth up for a lifetime of financial success with Smart Start from Founders Federal Credit Union. Smart Start products and educational resources help teach kids and teens the basics of saving, budgeting, and smart spending. Help them learn smart money skills to jumpstart their financial journey with Smart Start savings, debit, certificates, and educational resources. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hosteller Brown. Did you know it's possible to avoid probate court after you die, regardless of what you own? Why put your loved ones through a long, stressful public process when there are better options for your family? Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
Touchstone Energy Cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
And welcome back in, everybody. High school football scoreboard brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. All right, let's catch you up on a few new scores. Manning has beaten Philip Simmons 34-21. So Manning advances 34-21 over Philip Simmons. Reggie Kennedy will be looking for a call from us tonight. Let's see if we got that Fairfield Central score in here just yet. Abbeville over Lamar 41-24. And White Knoll beat Berkeley 23-3. White Knoll and Berkeley. White Knoll playing some great defense tonight. Oh, here you go. Fairfield Central has beaten Central of Pageland 48-28. So Fairfield Central advances 48-28. So they will play Clinton next week. And Barnwell and Manning will hook up next week. So I think we've got everything. Abbeville and Louisville next week. Cross and Lakeview next week. We still need a Crescent and Mountain View score. Still trying to get that. BHP won, and they'll play the winner of that game. Loris won 30-14 over Keenan, and we'll play Oceanside Collegiate next week. West Side and South Point will meet. South Florence and North Augusta will meet. That's 4A. 5A Division 2, Northwestern and Gaffney, and Irmo and White Knoll. All right, those should be dandy. And then you've got Dutch Fork and Spartanburg next week, still waiting to get a final, but Spartanburg was up big in their game. Let's see if we got a final. Yes, 35-9. 35-9, Vikings win it. So they move to the Upper State Finals against Dutch Fork. Hello. That should be a lot of fun. And Somerville and Sumter. So how about that? Dutch Fork, Spartanburg, Somerville, Sumter, the right side of the bracket, carrying the night in the 5A Division 1. All right, let's go to Monty Dutton, who was at Clinton tonight. Clinton and Batesburg, Leesville. Monty, well, Red Devils got it done once again. It was in a huge game.
Yes, Clinton had 382 yards rushing, and they would have had over 400 except for a failed punt snap in which they lost 22 yards, gave the ball to Batesburg deep in Clinton territory, and they held on defense. So the big story by far was Clinton's junior running back, Javen Cook, 24 carries, 269 yards, touchdowns, I think, of 4, 4, and 10 yards. Clinton only the score was tied 14-14 at half, with the Red Devils dominated the second half, and it showed up in the stats. Amadre Wooden of Batesburg Leesville, who entered the game with over 1,800 yards, he had 19 carries for 75 yards, 3.9 a carry. Cook averaged 11.2 a carry for the Red Devils, and it was a fantastic rushing night for a big play offense that wasn't slowed down too much, although Batesburg Leesville lived up to billing. Of course, they're the number one team ranked in the state, but they're a very good team. It's just that the longer the game went, the more Clinton took control. And Corey Fountain made mention of that afterwards, because Clinton has not, since they took a big fall at Daniel, they have not. They have won every. This is the 31 to. I mean, this score is the closest anyone has come to Clinton since then. But they'll have quite a challenge when Fairfield Central comes to Wilder Stadium. But the home field is quite an advantage for Clinton, and this is the first time Clinton hasn't hosted an upstate championship game since 1994. The 2009 team that won the state championship was 7-3 in the regular season and went all the way through the playoffs on the road. So Wilder Stadium is I think that anybody who's been there, the people from Batesburg Leesville, it was a great game. They had a great crowd too. I'd say there's probably over 6,000 people at the game. So it was a Clinton game that they took control progressively as the game went along.
All right, Monty, as always, we appreciate it, man. Great job. We'll talk to you next week as Clinton rolls on, and we'll be back after the bottom of the hour break.
Growth using the powerful platform of The Point. Call Kev directly at 563-8558. Teaming with The Point, you can make the next year your best year.
Hello, this is Stacy Huff, host of Huff Nation Sports Zone, each and every Saturday, 10 to 11 a.m. right here on 100.7 FM, The Point, and also 1470 a.m. It'll be a fun trip around the world of sports. Huff Nation Sports Zone, check it out.
Hi, I'm Tazima. Join me every Saturday at 11 a.m. for Small Business Saturday. We'll celebrate business owners in our community while learning their stories of success and failure. It's Small Business Saturday right here at 100.7 The Point.
SRN News, I'm Ron Taylor. Insurgents have breached Syria's largest city and clashed with government forces for the first time since 2016. That, according to a war monitor and fighters, they described a surprise attack Friday on Aleppo that sent residents fleeing and added fresh uncertainty to a region reeling from multiple wars. 2 children and a woman have been crushed to death in a crowd at Palestinians' push to get bread at a bakery in the Gaza Strip among a worsening food crisis in the war-ravaged territory. A doctor confirmed they died from suffocation. Authorities say 27 people have died. At least 100, mostly women, are missing after a boat transporting them to a food market capsized along the River Niger in northern Nigeria. Retailers across the country using giveaways and bigger than expected discounts to reward shoppers who ventured out on Black Friday. The day after Thanksgiving still reigns for now as the unofficial kickoff of the holiday shopping season, even if it has lost a little bit of luster. More at srnnews.com. I'm Ron Taylor.
Hi, Mom. This is Ian with AccuClean. Regular carpet, rug, and upholstery cleaning isn't just about keeping them looking beautiful and smelling fresh. It can also help to extend their life, which in turn saves money in the long run. Check out AccuClean today for our other services, such as mattress sanitation, odor and enzyme treatments, and leather cleaning and conditioning. Call AccuClean today at 803-957-1202 for all your carpet cleaning needs and more. Once again, that's AccuClean at 803-957-1202. I'll see you soon.
It's that time of year where our focus turns toward the holidays. For many, it's been a tough year, but now the holidays are coming. It's not about the gifts you get, it's about the gifts we've already been given. This is the time of year we show compassion for those who are in need in our own backyard and overseas too. It's also a time of the year that we should be grateful that we absolutely live in the greatest country in the history of this world. At Bergen Roofing, every one of their employees truly believes in doing their best at the office and at home. Stuart Bergen leads by example, and trust me, we're close friends, I can attest to it. So this holiday season, while many others are finding their inner Grinch, please take the opportunity to just do better. Be a better husband or wife, a better brother or sister, son or daughter, or even a better friend. Just be better to one another. Maybe your actions will inspire someone else to do the same. We all share the same air, so why not share the same holiday spirit? And while you're at it, please hug the ones you love a little tighter this holiday season. These are just some of the reasons that Bergen Roofing has been known as your neighborhood roofer. Happy holidays from the whole team at Bergen Roofing. I get frustrated when I see people getting scammed or misled. Some of these national TV spots pushing these scare tactics for Medicare coverage, they can be very misleading. You get bombarded every fall. You don't need to let this stress you out. See, I've worked with the folks at Hickory Hill Insurance. Tim Hanbury and his dynamic and growing team has helped my family on more than one occasion. Here's the thing. The world of Medicare is changing. The laws and the technology. Hickory Hill Insurance has it covered. They have the knowledge, the leadership, the latest tech, and very caring agents. Their response time to your calls, questions, and concerns is incredible. Remember, I know this. They've helped me. It's as simple as visiting their website, partdandme.com. And I bet you think it's going to cost a mountain of money. Nope, not a penny. Let the Hickory Hill team go to work for you. Visit partdandme.com. If they can help you find a better plan, they will. If they can't, they'll be honest. They'll tell you, stick with what you have, because that's who they are. Online, it's partdandme.com, or just call Hickory Hill Insurance 708-7398. That's 708-7398.
Need a break but worried about your furry friend? Don't forget, a Paws Paradise, the vacation spot your dog dreams about. Picture this: tail wags, endless play, and all the care your pooch needs while you're away. Whether it's a quick weekend or a lavish getaway, we've got you covered. Don't just take a vacation, give one. Visit apawsparadise.com or dial 551-0323 today. A Paws Paradise, where every dog has...
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is the High School Football Scoreboard, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union here on the Sports Talk Media Network. David Shelton will be joining us here in just a little bit as soon as we get connected with him. Got more reports coming up in just a second. If you're just joining us, we've got all the scores in now. Everything is in. Let's tell you what happened tonight across the state in 5A Division I. Dutch Fork 52, River Bluff 14, Spartanburg 35, J.L. Mann 9, Somerville 49, Ridgeview 20, and Sumter 34, James Island 17. In Division II, Northwestern 35, Greenwood 6, Gaffney 21, T.L. Hanna 7, Irmo 56, West Florence 7, and White Knoll 23, Berkeley 3. In 4A, Westside 49, Camden 7, South Point 49, Daniel 35, South Florence 49, Hartsville 21, and North Augusta 63, Gilbert 14. 3A, Mountain View 30, Crescent 14, Belton Honeypath 35, Powdersville 14, Loris 30, Keenan 14, Oceanside Collegiate 28, Dillon 21. 2A, Clennon 31, Batesburg-Leesville 14. Fairfield Central 48, Central 28. Barnwell 28, Sherraw 27. Manning 34, Philip Simmons 21. And in 1A, Abbeville 41, Lamar 24. Louisville 31, Hunter Connor Tyler 6, Cross 12, Hannah Pamplico 7, and Lakeview 42, Bamberg Earhart 32. All right, that's how they played out tonight. Let's get back to more reports. And thanks to everybody calling in to give us their stories tonight. Really appreciate it. Let's go to Thomas Grant, who was at Louisville and Hunter Connor Tyler tonight from the Prep Red Zone. Thomas, welcome in. And HKT had a great season, but they ran into something a little bit bigger tonight in Louisville.
Yeah, you could say it was a little bigger, although really the first half was actually really competitive. It was only 3-0 at the half, was just a field goal by Marcel Lee. It looked like early on that Louisville was going to score in the first drive. They got all the way to the 2, but then Josiah Jenkins had an interception to stop that threat. And it seemed like for the most part, sort of the theme of the game was just how Louisville's front line in particular, they have a kid, a freshman, 6'1", 185 by the name of Jay Sean Cope, who just was literally was unstoppable up front. Him along with the linebacker, Eaton Gatson, who you'll hear about later on in this report, they just seemed like they just were, every time HKT seemed to have an opening, they would just shut it down. And for the most part, both teams were just going back and forth defensively, not being able to score other than the field goal. But then the things changed literally on the kickoff in the second half, when on the kickoff, HKT mishandled it and ended up fumbling, losing the football. And from there, Louisville capitalized with a 22-yard touchdown run by Jordan Strong, who basically was being dominant on both sides of the football, both running and he was another one of the he was also playing safety. He was one of the safeties who was also really helping to shut down HKT's running game. So that made it 10-0. HKT was able to put together their best drive of the series. They were able to get some runs from Dorian Stroman and Trent Summers, who ended up scoring an 8-yard touchdown. They went for 2 and then failed to get it, and that made it 10-6. But that was the only score for HKT the rest of the game. From that point on, Louisville was able to really dominate on the ground, in particular with Jordan Strong breaking off the strong runs, and also Zach Rogers, who also had, both of them had back-to-back long runs to set up a 15-yard touchdown run by Jordan Rogers that made it, at the time, 17-6. Jordan Rogers then got into the end zone again in the fourth quarter to make it 24-6. And with 27 seconds left, HKT ended up throwing a sideline pass, which ended up being a lateral that no one decided to touch except for Eden Gadsden, the linebacker from Louisville, who ended up just racing into the end zone for an undisturbed touchdown. And that was your final score, 31-6. So now Louisville ends up winning over the Trojans for the second time this year. And now they head over to Abbeville for, I guess, what you would say was the matchup a lot of people have been waiting for in Class A.
Oh, no question about it, man. That's a magical matchup, Louisville and Abbeville, because, I mean, they've been great a long, long time. I think Louisville had a little bit of a slip there for a few years. Certainly looks like they're back in fine shape, and we know what Abbeville can do.
Yeah, definitely. And then Louisville, this is a team that they've had, I mean, last year you thought this was going to be the year that they would go all the way, and it seems like the last few years they've had a stumbling blocks. But this year, under Trent, we can't forget also with interim coach Trent Usher leading the way. This is a team that seems to rally around him, rallied around the seniors, and they seem like they want to really try to get that breakthrough going up to Abbeville.
Well, that should be a dandy, and we will hear from you next week. Thomas, thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
Have a great weekend. All right, Thomas Grant, Prep Red Zone. So it's going to be Abbeville and Louisville. Yeah, two of the big names in high school football. in South Carolina getting after it next week, and that one should be a lot of fun. All right, we want to connect with David Shelton, so let me know when we've got David on the line, and we'll bring him on board for the first time tonight and start to get his thoughts. Wait for more reports to come in as well. In the meantime, along with the high school football tonight that's going on, of course, you got college football galore. And, man, Georgia Tech just knocked it in the end zone after Georgia has scored. So Georgia Tech has gone back on top, or has stayed on top. They've extended their lead on Georgia, and there's only 5.5 minutes to play. It's 27-13, Georgia Tech leading Georgia. And Georgia's still going to play for the SEC championship next week. So, they still got a chance to make the playoffs. They lose here, they'd be a 3-loss team, which, again, with the playoffs, you're going to see some 3-loss teams in there, as we said there would be when they devised this whole playoff contraption. All right, let's welcome in David Shelton, High School Sports Report, Charleston Post and Courier. Welcome in, David. You were at the Oceanside Dillon game. We heard from Coach Patterson, Billy Baker with the hot call, and got Coach right on with us. So we got that story. Tell us about John Patterson and the job he's done stepping in as the interim coach to keep things moving there at Oceanside.
Well, he's a veteran guy. He knows what he's doing. And he was kind of a calming influence in the storm, the early storm when the coach resigned. And, the guy's won games. He knows what he's doing. And he's got a good staff. And they're a good football team.
What'd you think of their performance overall tonight?
Well, I thought they were the better team, but Dillon did make a pretty good run at them. Dillon, I'm having trouble here. Hang on just a second. You talk. I'll be back in a second.
All right. We'll wait for David to get back with us from his location down there in the Low Country. So now we're talking about Oceanside Collegiate and Dillon. Oceanside Collegiate coming away with that win. And Dillon, of course, always going to be a player, always going to be a factor. And they lost their quarterback in the offseason, the young man who had been their starting quarterback for a couple of seasons, transferred out. So I don't know if that was a major stumbling block for them or not. Dillon still had a very good season. We're just used to seeing Dillon getting all the way to the state finals, but not going to be the case this year. So as we look at brackets for next week, Abbeville, and we heard this from Coach Patterson, upper state teams are the host teams now. So Abbeville will host Louisville, and it will be Cross hosting Lakeview. That's in 1A. And then in 2A, it will be Clinton hosting Fairfield Central and Barnwell hosting Manning. Okay, some really good matchups there. Then in the 3A playoffs, it will be, let's see here. I got my brackets here do not designate which are the home teams. So, I've got to go back and check. I think I got to go back and check various seedings to see who's where. So I don't want to say anything before I know for sure. And that's the case throughout the rest of the bracket. So we'll hold off on that for the time being. Let's go ahead and go to our next break, and we'll get David back with us and talk more with him about tonight's games, get his thoughts as we go bracket by bracket across the state. All the scores are in, so we know exactly who will be advancing to the upper and lower state finals next week here in South Carolina as we work our way towards that week of champions, Thursday, Friday, Saturday at South Carolina State University. And we'll be back after the break.
Farm Bureau Insurance agents live and work right in our community. They're not at the end of some 1-800 number thousands of miles away. The personalized attention, competitive rates, and a reputation for fast, fair claim service sets Farm Bureau Insurance apart from the competition. For your auto, home, and life insurance needs, trust Farm Bureau Insurance. In Clinton and Lawrence, give Buddy Bridges a call at 864-984-0413 or stop by the office at 726 East Main Street in Lawrence to see how local makes a difference.
Founders Federal Credit Union believes in empowering future generations, helping to provide our youth a smart start as they begin their financial journey. Discover Smart Start by Founders. Start off with Smart Start savings with a low minimum balance of just $5. Teach responsible spending with a free debit card, text alerts, and no minimum balance. Jumpstart a lifetime of saving and investing with a Smart Start 12-month certificate featuring flexible deposits. Start with just $100 and add more deposits at any time. Finally, dive in deeper with fun educational resources. Founders is excited to team up with you with resources and support to give our youth a smart start towards a brighter tomorrow. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hostetler Brown. Helping an aging loved one arrange for their care can be one of the most difficult things you will ever do. Fortunately, you don't have to navigate this maze alone. Lawyer Lisa's knowledgeable life care team can lead you down the right path. Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at scattle.org. Beef, it's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff Program.
Okay, we're back once again. High school football scoreboard brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. What a night it's been around the state of South Carolina as we cut the field down to those who will play for the upper and lower state finals next week. David Shelton is now back with us. And as I bring David back, I see that Georgia has come right back down the field and scored on Georgia Tech. So we'll see what happens if they can get a stop of Tech and have a chance to pull this thing out at the end or perhaps tie. All right, David, so as you were saying before you were interrupted, what were you saying?
I was just saying that, Oceanside is a quality team. Dillon was a quality team. But I thought overall, I just thought Oceanside was just a tad better. And their quarterback's a special player. He really is.
What do you like about him?
He's very accurate, and he's very composed for a sophomore. He's not a big guy. He's a Johnny Manziel type. Not a big guy, not a runner, but moves pretty well. But he is very accurate. I mean, he puts the ball on the money, right where it's got to be caught. And you normally don't see that with young quarterbacks like him.
Did Dillon, I mentioned that they lost their quarterback in the offseason to transfer, so I had to start over there. Did they miss him a lot? Was there a bit of a drop-off for them in some way, or no?
I don't think it was a huge drop-off. I mean, I'm assuming the guy that played tonight was the guy that's been there all year, and he wasn't bad. He's pretty decent. So, I mean, he made some throws. But I know the other. I never saw the other quarterback play, but I heard he was, pretty good. But the Hamilton kid tonight was fine. I mean, he wasn't the reason they lost the game.
Yeah. All right, David. Let's touch on some of the finals and get your thoughts on things as they have played out tonight. So 5A Division I, Dutch Fork beat River Bluff 52-14. Spartanburg over Man 35-9. Somerville 49, Ridgeview 20, and Sumter 34, James Island 17. So as I look ahead to next week, Spartanburg goes to Dutch Fork and Sumter goes to Somerville. What do you think?
Well, no shocker. Everybody had these four pretty much when the playoffs began. This is kind of what we expected, and now we're going to get what we expected. So it should be two really good games. I mean, Dutch Fork's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah.
Spartanburg's having a great year, but Dutch Fork's going to be hard to beat. But that Somerville-Sumter game's got the potential to be a classic.
I mean, Dutch Fork, every time we look at it, we go, okay, maybe this is going to be a game. I mean, they just completely annihilate everybody down the road that they play. Can Spartanburg make it a quality game? Are they good enough to hang with them?
Oh yeah, they're good enough, and they have played each other in the regular season. They didn't play this year, but in the past they played each other in the regular seasons, and Spartanburg has played with them. Now this is a different year, but Spartanburg, this is the best Spartanburg team in definitely since the new coach got there. God, why am I missing his name? Mark Hodge.
Yeah.
But Dutch Fork's just having a year. I mean, they're just. This is one of those teams that they jump on you. They're so confident. They are so confident when the game starts. They jump on you. They get a lead, and then you can't score on them.
All right, let's go to 5A Division II. Northwestern 35, Greenwood 6, Gaffney 21, TL Hanna 7, Irmo 56, West Florence 7, and White Knoll 23, Berkeley 3. And I imagine that, not to take anything away from Irmo and White Knoll like a 7 seed going to play Irmo. Don't know what that means for high schools. But Northwestern Gaffney, you're talking magical old 4A, what was the region? 4A, 4A.
Region 2.
Say again? Yeah. Region 2 4A, that's what I'm trying to spit out. Region 2 4A. I mean, back when that 4A was the big boys. So here we go again, another round between Northwestern and Gaffney. That never gets old, does it?
No, and that'll be a really good game. I really think Northwestern, I would pick them, but Gaffney is putting it together, and they're starting to play really good on defense. I mean, to do that to T.L. Hanna, what they did tonight was pretty impressive, but Northwestern is going to be a totally different challenge. Hanna, you got to stop the run. Northwestern, you got to stop that passing game. And, them and Westside just seem to have that offense clicking. And that game will be at Northwestern, I'm assuming, right?
Let me double check. Yeah, Gaffney goes to Northwestern.
Yeah. Not that matters a whole lot, but it does matter that it's not in the reservation, of course.
All right. We go to 4A, and let's go to Brew Nimmons from up at Upstate today in Seneca. And Brew is joining us because he covered the South Point and Daniel game tonight, 49-35. Brew, thank you for joining us, man. We appreciate it. High-scoring affair, and good, man, good. How did South Point end up holding on to this thing at the end?
Oh, my goodness. I've seen a lot of high school football games, a lot of great high school football players. South Point running back Mason Pickett-Hicks, the best game I've ever seen from running back. 34 carries, 485 yards, 6 touchdowns.
What?
485 yards. He had 4 touchdowns over 50 yards. In the second half, he had 299 yards and 4 touchdowns.
That is incredible. Tell us, was it blocking? Was it yards after contact? How did he do it?
So, I mean, South Point has a very talented offensive line. It was the biggest line I saw all season. And, you know, Daniel's defense is no slouch. I mean, this is probably, of this recent run they've had, one of the lesser defenses. But, I mean, they still have, you know, played pretty well against everybody in 4A. But, I mean, they got the holes, and then he'd shoot through, and before you know it, he was in the end zone. His speed was remarkable. I mean, what do I have him here? He had an 84-yard touchdown, a 65, 54, 66, and then to finish the night, he had a 33-yard touchdown that put him ahead by 2 scores with about a minute left.
That is awesome, man. What a performance. And I guess South Point came up with just enough stops to give them a chance to open up a little separation there.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel offensively, they were able to move the ball at times, but the big thing was, too, South Point got into trouble in the first half. You know, a lot of penalties put them behind, and then I can't say enough about the fight for Daniel, too. I mean, it could be back-breaking anytime you have a guy break that many runs against you. But Grayson Clary, Daniel quarterback, he's a sophomore, has offers from Liberty and App State. He led them back down the field multiple times to, you know, make it a one-score game until the very end.
All right. Well, South Point will move on, and let's see, find my 4A bracket here. South Point is going to go to West Side, so I imagine there'll be some points scored then as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure in that one. I mean, West Side's offense is just as remarkable as what South Point has.
Okay. Hey, Brew, thank you very much, man. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week. Will you cover a game next week?
I'll probably be off. Daniel was the last team in my coverage area that I have, so thankfully I'll get to focus on some basketball now heading into that season, but I'll be keeping up with all the games.
All right. Well, we thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Thank you. All right, Brew Nimmons from up in the upstate. How about that individual performance, David? You ever heard of anything like that? That's like Woody Dancer-like.
That is, that's a lot of rushing yards. When he said it, 36 for 485, I was like, did he just say 485 or 435 or whatever he said? But I don't even know who that guy is. That's the first time I've heard that name all year. But we'll know who he is now, and I guarantee you Westside knows who he is.
Man, what a performance. So you're going to have Cutter Woods throwing the ball and this dude running the ball. Should be an outstanding game. All right, hang on, David. We'll be right back. Georgia has forced a turnover. They've got the ball. They're driving down a touchdown with 2 minutes to go. Be right back.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Ron Taylor. Black Friday still reigns as the biggest day of the year for in-store shopping. White House correspondent Greg Clugston has more on the story.
Retailers have been pushing early holiday sales for weeks now, but the day after Thanksgiving remains an incredibly important day for department stores, shopping malls, and merchants. Many shoppers browse and buy online, but brick-and-mortar stores still enjoy a surge in foot traffic this holiday weekend as bargain hunters look for deals. This year, there are 5 fewer days between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Greg Clugston reporting.
Bankrate.com senior analyst Ted Rossman says there are expectations for a slight growth this year.
The National Retail Federation, Deloitte, MasterCard, various sources place the expected holiday sales growth at somewhere around 2 or 3%. So kind of in line with inflation. Growing, but not exceptionally so.
Also at townhall.com, the head of Britain's Foreign Intelligence Service, Vladimir Putin, is conducting a reckless sabotage campaign against Ukraine's allies that risks escalating the conflict. MI6 Chief Richard Moore says for the sake of the Western security, Russia must not win the war in Ukraine.
If Putin is allowed to succeed in reducing Ukraine to a vassal state, he will not stop there. Our security, British, French, European, and transatlantic, will be jeopardized. The cost of supporting Ukraine is well known, but the cost of not doing so would be infinitely higher.
Insurgents have breached Syria's second-largest city, Aleppo, and are battling government forces on the city's western edge. It marks the first time the city has been attacked by opposition forces since 2016, since they were ousted from Aleppo's eastern neighborhoods. You'll find more of these stories, news, and analysis online at townhall.com. I'm Ron Taylor.
Hi, Mom. New administration has hinted at one of its boldest moves yet, America's return to the gold standard. Backing the U.S. dollar with gold would create stability in a time of rapid economic change, pushing the price of gold higher than we've seen in decades. Those who act now could be positioned to benefit the most. Premier Gold specializes in helping those with a 401k, IRA, or other types of retirement accounts utilize a little-known loophole to move some of their savings into physical gold. Today, they'd like to send you a free gold standard kit to help you decide if this process is right for you. Call 606-800-8000 to take advantage of current rollover policies. Early action on physical gold could position your portfolio for maximum growth. Call Premier Gold at 606-800-8000. Call 606-800-8000 now. Premier Gold is not a financial advisor. Please consult with your advisor before investing. Call 606-800-8000.
A handful of Massachusetts lawmakers are taking on the tobacco industry.
The legislators are hoping to persuade their colleagues to support a proposal that would make the state the first to adopt a ban meant to eliminate the use of tobacco products over time. Other locations have weighed similar generational tobacco bans. The bans phase out the use of tobacco products based not just on a person's age, but on the birth year. Lawmakers plan to file the proposal next year.
Correspondent Jeremy House. The NCAA's efforts to get lawmakers to address problems in college sports could pay off in the new Republican-controlled Congress. Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz is set to take over as chair of the powerful Commerce Committee and says a college sports bill would be a top priority. The owner of an oil field in Los Angeles County is suing the state of California over a law that would require it to stop production and plug its wells or face costly fines. Sentinel Peak, owner of the Inglewood oil field, says the law is unconstitutional.
This is Ian with AccuClean. Regular carpet, rug, and upholstery cleaning isn't just about keeping them looking beautiful and smelling fresh. It can also help to extend their life, which in turn saves money in the long run. Check out AccuClean today for our other services, such as mattress sanitation, odor and enzyme treatments, and leather cleaning and conditioning. Call AccuClean today at 803-957-1202 for all your carpet cleaning needs and more. Once again, that's AccuClean at 803-957-1202. I'll see you soon.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
It's a Friday night in South Carolina, and that means high school football. Welcome to the Founders Federal High School Scoreboard with Phil Kornblut and David Shelton. We've got all the scores from across the state, plus game reports and interviews with coaches. The High School Scoreboard is proudly brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. Now, let's head to the Scoreboard Studios in Columbia. Here's Phil Kornblut.
Welcome back in, everybody. High school football scoreboard across the state. Here on the Sports Talk Media Network, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. We thank you for joining us tonight on what was a very, very nice night for high school football here in South Carolina. And our focus is high school football, but I do know a lot of folks are interested in this Georgia Tech battle. As we were going to break, Georgia was driving. Georgia scored. Kicked the extra point, 27-27. Somebody should kick Kirby Smart because when Georgia scored their first touchdown way back when, for some reason, he went for two. And, you know, awfully early to be chasing points. Had he kicked the extra point then and he kicked the extra point now, you're up 28-27. So didn't agree with that decision way back then. He put himself in that hole here where he needed to kick the extra point just to get the tie. So they're tied at 27 with a minute to go in Athens. We got Coach Scott Early joining us. We'll get to him in just a second. If you're just tuning in, David Shelton is with us. We've heard from a lot of reporters as well. Let me recap the scores one more time for those who might not have heard the scoreboard to this point. In 5A Division I, it was Dutch Fork 52, River Bluff 14, Spartanburg 35, J.L. Man 9, Somerville 49, Ridgeview 20, and Sumter 34, James Island 17. My interpretation of the brackets tells me, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, David, Spartanburg goes to Dutch Fork and Sumter goes to Somerville. All right.
I thought Sumter was home.
Don't tell me that.
I could be wrong. I don't know why I was thinking that, but
I think
I'll find out.
Yeah, I was looking, when that's coming off the high school league bracket. I can go back and look at 5A again. I just looked at it, but I'll double-check it or you double-check it. All right, 5A Division II. You got Northwestern 35, Greenwood 6, Gaffney 21, TL Hanna 7, Irmo 56, West Florence 7, and White Knoll 23, Berkeley 3. And I'm going back to look at that 5A. Yeah, Sumter's a 2 seed and Somerville's a 1 seed, David.
Okay.
Yeah, so Sumter goes to Somerville. Got that right, believe it or not. Gaffney goes to Northwestern. White Knoll goes to Irmo. The 4A playoffs tonight. And it was Westside 49, Camden 7, South Point 49, Daniel 35, South Florence 49, Hartsville 21, and North Augusta 63, Gilbert 14. So, South Point goes to Westside, South Florence goes to North Augusta. By the way, I see the bracket. 3A. Mountain View 30, Crescent 14, Belton Honeypath 35, Powdersville 14, Loris 30, Keenan 14, Oceanside Collegiate 28, Dillon 21, and BHP will go to Mountain View. Oceanside will go to Loris. 2A playoffs. Clinton 31, Batesburg Leesville 14, Fairfield Central 48, Central 28, Barnwell 28, Sherrod 27. We'll talk more about that, David, coming up. Manning over Philip Simmons 34-21, and Fairfield will go to Clinton, and Manning will go to Barnwell, by my interpretation of the bracket. Of course, check with your school to be sure. Don't trust me on all of these. I don't want you showing up at the wrong place next week. And in 1A, it was Abbeville 41, Lamar 24, Louisville 31, Hunter Connor Tyler 6, Cross 12, Hannah Pamplico 7, and Lakeview 42, Bamberg Earhart 32. So Louisville goes to Abbeville, and Lakeview goes to Cross. Am I correct when you look at the bracket, David, and you got two teams who are going to play, and they've got the same seed coming out of their region, or they both finished first? The predetermined bracket determines the home team, right? Because
Correct.
They have the H on the bracket, and that predetermines the next home team in the case of a tie like that, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I think I got him right. I think. Let's welcome in Coach Scott Early, Executive Director of the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association, himself a former state championship coach. And welcome in. I know you've been keeping up with things tonight from the Homestead. What do you make of the playoffs tonight and what we're looking at in the upper and lower state finals next week, sir?
Well, I was just listening during the break as I was waiting, and you actually got it perfectly right.
Oh, phew.
So that's the first thing I'm proud of. The second thing is, you got Loris and a few other teams in there, but outside of that, you got like the Blue Bloods, like the people that are there all the time. So it's going to be really, really interesting. But tonight was, with the cold weather and the games, it was just great high school football. And thank NHS for having an app that you can watch them all. And it was awesome. And now it's 27-27 with 7 seconds to go with Georgia Tech and Georgia. So football's a unique game. You just never know what could happen. And then when you get to this point in high school playoffs, I've always said, you got to be humble and lucky and healthy, and that's shown through tonight. So.
This is true. Everything you just said is true, and looks like Georgia Tech is going to line up to kick a potential game-winning field goal with 7 seconds to go. So we'll see how that turns out, 27-27. You mentioned a bunch of blue bloods in here, Coach, and you have those, Dutch Fork and Spartanburg and Somerville and Sumter, 5A Division I. Those are the bluest of the blues. Gaffney, Northwestern. Irmo and White, that'll be a good matchup, local neighborhood matchup there. A couple of teams, Irmo used to be, then they weren't. Now they've rebounded under Coach Brand, and then and White Know's just become a really good program the last few years.
Yeah, well, I mean, Nick Pelham's one of the best young up-and-coming coaches in the state or in this country. He was on Coach Knott's staff for a long, long time, and actually a unique thing is his son plays at Dutch Fork while he coaches at White Knoll. So he's done a tremendous job in getting that program there. But, when I was the head coach at Lexington and the AD there, I just always thought there was something special in Red Bank. Like if they ever got the right coach to go there, they could really do good. And Nick Pelham has done an unbelievable job of just, getting that program to take pride in high school football. So hats off to Nick, making a run. Played the state championship last year against his mentor. So I just think there's a lot of interesting plot lines here to be played out in the next 2 weeks.
Well, we'll see if they can make it happen again and get that rematch. Well, no, they won't get a rematch. I'm sorry, they're in another division, but get a chance to play for that state championship. Going back to Tom Knotts for a moment, Coach, what is having been around South Carolina for all these years, and maybe you knew a little something about him when he was in North Carolina and you were in North Carolina, but, I mean, death and taxes and Dutch Fork in the state championship game, that's pretty much what you can count on here in the state of South Carolina ever since he took over that program.
Yeah, I mean, TK's a unique guy. Like I actually got to meet him and got to know him when I was, at Kings Mountain High School with Ron Massey in, 1996. And he was in Independence, and, they had a few rules that were different than everybody else's rules, but he to me, he's the go to high school football, not only in the state, but in the country. Like 8 state championships in North Carolina, 8 in South Carolina, going for 9. And he's a unique guy that believes that football is based on blocking and tackling. And if you're good on the offensive line in the secondary, you got a chance. And, I had the opportunity to see him play twice this year, and their line of scrimmage is collegiate. And this is the fourth in a row Clemson baseball commit that he's had to play quarterback. And, I've always, back to 2003 and J.D. Melton and Mr. Football, I've always loved those baseball guys that take the snap. And TK's just a great guy and in my opinion, the greatest high school football coach ever to live, So that's just my opinion.
There was a gentleman by the last name of McKissick down Somerville way that,
Yeah, well, I mean, that was a different time, and he was the only show in town. And the greatest thing about Coach McKissick is he went from, the wishbone, the power eye, the 9-man land, the spread. He just adapted to modern football, and that's why he's the all-time winningest coach in the country. But Tom is right there. I mean, he's just incredible, especially with what he does on the line of scrimmage in the secondary.
Yeah. All right. So I thought Georgia Tech was lining up to kick a field goal. They weren't. As I looked up, I saw their kicker warming up, but then I looked up again, and they were actually around midfield on fourth down. They had a pass knocked down, so Georgia's got the ball with 4 seconds to go at midfield and probably going to try a Hail Mary here. Before David joins us, we got Lou Bajak with us. It's good that we got Lou because he covered Dutch Fork tonight, so he can tell us more about their big win. Lou from the State newspaper, thestate.com. And welcome in, Scoop. How are you?
Pretty good, Phil. How you guys doing tonight?
Terrific. We're just talking about Coach Knotts, and they had it dialed up tonight, 52-14 over River Bluff.
Yeah, they really got the running game going. Like Coach Knotts said, there's something they haven't been doing, and they did early on. Maurice Anderson, over 150 yards rushing. I think they rushed for 329 tonight, 559 yards total offense. It's just pretty dominating performance. Got a little close in the third quarter. River Bluff was down 24-0, but scored on the first play of the second half, and Dutch Fork fumbled on their first possession. River Bluff was going to try to field goal to get within 2 scores, and South Carolina commit Josh Smith blocked the field goal, and they returned it for a touchdown, and then they rolled after that.
They do everything pretty well, don't they? Special teams, offense, defense. There's not anything they come up short in.
No, and then even Smith talked about that after the game, and Knotts did too, just about they take pride in their special teams, and they're good about blocking kicks, returning kicks and punts for touchdowns. They leave no stone unturned, and they really, if you ever go to one of their practices, they're pretty dialed in, and they're focused in all phases of the game, and that's why they've been successful for these 15 years that he's been head coach, and now went away from playing for another state championship. And Knotts is 11-0 all time in state semifinal games in South Carolina, so good history for them going into next week.
Absolutely. What about the matchup with Spartanburg? What do you see there?
Well, it's a rematch. They played earlier in the year. Dutch Fork beat them. They play almost every year, either a scrimmage or in the regular season. I think it's the 2 best teams in the upper state for sure. And I know Spartanburg's got a lot better, and Coach Chapman's done a really good job there. So we'll see. Dutch Fork, like I said, it's going to be tough to come here and win. But Spartanburg's done a really good job. A good win over J.O. Man tonight, and we'll see. Anything can happen. One game, winner take all. So we'll see what happens next week.
All right, Lou. Thank you, man. We appreciate it. You heading up to Clemson tomorrow?
Yep, I'll see you guys there.
All right, buddy. See you up there. Appreciate it. Lou Bajak from the State and thestate.com. Appreciate the report on Dutch Fork. Coach Early and David Shelton is with us. Dave, do you have a question or two for Coach Early before we cut him loose?
Yeah, I just wondered, Scott, up in your area of the woods, the Belton Honea Mountain View Prep game is going to be is going to draw a lot of statewide interest, primarily because of the 2 running backs, but also because Mountain View Prep is in their first season, and they're a charter school, and we've had that discussion over and over. But how do you? I don't know if you've seen either team play or do you have any impressions of how that game might end up? It sounds like it's going to be just a very competitive game.
Well, I mean, David, you're very perspective, and that to me next weekend, that's the most intriguing matchup. And I know we get the whole, charter private versus public versus whatever, and the transfer and all the stuff that goes on. I think that game could be a telltale story of, just being where your feet's at and being a part of your school and a part of the community. And BHP's got one of the best players in the country that's going to Clemson, and it's funny to me that you picked out that matchup, because to me the rest of them are not almost predetermined, but that one is I think that's the most intriguing matchup in the state next week, and I think it'll be interesting in a lot of areas what occurs.
Yeah, I agree. I've been pointing to that since about mid-season. Everybody started talking about it, and I think it's just an interesting, like you said, you got one school that's all those kids are belt and honey path kids. I mean,
you got homegrown versus recruit. Let's just say it like it is. That's what you got.
Right. I mean, yeah, exactly. And I just think a lot of people are going to be paying attention to that, because I know down here in Charleston, when Oceanside plays, you get that same vibe, but not nearly what you're getting in the upstate and with Great Collegiate.
Well, you also had Oceanside over Dillon tonight, and Dillon, back to my young coaching days, Jackie Hayes and Dillon and homegrown, and so it's kind of, I mean, it's not Republicans versus Democrats, but it's in a high school football sense, it's intriguing to see this play out, and I think it has a big impact on where we go in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's gonna.
Yep.
I think the next 5 years are gonna be interesting to watch how things develop.
Yep, it is. True.
Well, I'll say this too. One thing I've noticed, especially watching and listening to the NFL, the running back is back in football. Hope I'm not late to the party with that.
Is definitely, yes, back.
Yeah. The running back is back, and it all starts in the NFL. And, I mean, it's become a running back heavy league once again. And you're going to see two. You mentioned the kid at BHP. You got the kid at Mountain View who transferred in from Broome, who's sensational as well. He's in the 16 class. So you're going to see.
But if he stays at Broome, it might be Broome versus BHP. So you never know.
Yeah. Coach, before we let you go, how about a couple of things? Shout out for you and David Shelton and things that you guys are working together on. You want to publicize what you guys are cooking up?
Yeah, it's just coaches versus overdoses, and it's been something we've sort of worked on behind the scenes for, I don't know, better part of 2 years, and sort of come to fruition, and we're going to try to save some lives and educate, schools from 7 to 12, and some of the assemblies and keynote speakers. We're partnering with David. He's going to tell his story and share his testimony, which is incredible. And hopefully we can make an impact through David and through a lot of things we're doing. And we can, begin to prevent instead of solve a problem, and save some lives of athletes and everybody in general in the state of South Carolina. So, yeah, it's a special thing, and we're glad David has come on board to be a part of it.
Tip of the cap to both of you for that. And let's don't forget, we've got the Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl coming up on the 21st in Myrtle Beach. I know you got the plans in place and everything ready to go. It's going to be a great week at the beach once again for the kids who are going to participate.
Yeah, I mean, even though, Helene kind of threw a kink in some plans, but, yeah, it's the great folks in Myrtle Beach were, as an educational term, they was ready to monitor and adjust, and we've got a great week and a great slate, and got a plan on Mr. Football, being that the Shrine Bowl and the Touchstone Energy Bowl be played at the same time. So just good to see everybody working together to benefit the well-being of our student athletes in South Carolina in the game of football and all of our sports. It's just, I think we got a cool thing going, and sometimes we forget about that. So, yeah.
Good points. Coach, thank you very much. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. Thanks for all
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes,
all right, Scott Early, now the Executive Director, South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association. And as we go to break, Georgia has scored on its possession of overtime and kicked the extra point. So Georgia has taken a 7-point lead on Georgia Tech. Now the Rambling Wreck will get their chance to see if they can tie it up. And we'll get David Shelton's pick on the Gamecocks and Tigers coming up as well. Plus, you know what's coming up tonight. Yes, it's time for Shelton Says. We'll get David's picks on these semifinal games coming up. Be right back.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at experiencecolumbiasc.com.
Some insurance carriers are based in another state or only have an online presence. Not at Farm Bureau Insurance. They're a local South Carolina company that believes commitment comes with a handshake. Become part of the Farm Bureau Insurance family today by calling Buddy Bridges at 864-984-0413 or stop by the Upstate office at 726 East Main Street in Lawrence.
Set your youth up for a lifetime of financial success with Smart Start from Founders Federal Credit Union. Smart Start products and educational resources help teach kids and teens the basics of saving, budgeting, and smart spending. Help them learn smart money skills to jumpstart their financial journey with Smart Start savings, debit, certificates, and educational resources. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at sccattle.org. Beef. It's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff program.
All right, short break here on Sports Talk. Short segment coming out of the break. Another break is coming up. David Shelton is with us. Going to try and catch up with some coaches here in our final half hour and have Shelton Says. And let's see, as we were going through the scores, I think we got to the 3As. David, Mountain View 30, Crescent 14, BHP 35, Powdersville 14, Loris 30, Keenan 14, Oceanside Collegiate 28, Dillon 21. I tell you, real quick, got to give a shout out to Loris. So many times they've had good teams, but they haven't been able to get past, say, a Dillon or somebody like that in their way.
Yeah, this has been a season for the ages for the Loris Lions, and that's going to be a good matchup with Oceanside. Oceanside will do some things offensively that Loris maybe hasn't seen, but Loris's physicality is going to be hard to handle.
All right, David, you hang on. We'll be back. Going to hit the break here at the bottom of the hour. We'll continue. High School Scoreboard brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union.
Do you crave growth for your business? That's where The Point comes in. Fran Halloran here. Kevin Cohen and the other local hosts like me have worked to create a space where listeners transform into family. Are you a local business aiming for the stars? You need to get with Kevin and let him help create an individualized blueprint for your growth using the influential stage of The Point Radio. Reach out directly at 563-8558. Teaming with The Point, make this year extraordinary.
Hello, this is Stacy Huff, host of Huff Nation Sports Zone, each and every Saturday, 10 to 11 a.m. right here on 100.7 FM, The Point, and also 1470 a.m. It'll be a fun trip around the world of sports. Huff Nation Sports Zone, check it out.
Right now, we all feel a little disconnected. For seniors living alone, the isolation can be overwhelming. Connect with an older loved one and have the conversation of a lifetime at StoryCorpsConnect.org/AARP. A message from AARP, StoryCorps, and the Ad Council.
SRN News. I'm Ron Taylor. Authorities say 27 people have died. At least 100, mostly women, are missing after a boat transporting them to a food market capsized along the River Niger in northern Nigeria. The boat was taking the passengers from Kogi State along the river to neighboring state of Niger early Friday morning when it capsized. Insurgents have breached Syria's largest city and clashed with government forces for the first time in many years. They described a surprise attack Friday on Aleppo that sent residents fleeing and added fresh uncertainty to a region reeling from multiple wars. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has flown to Florida to have dinner with President-elect Donald Trump at his Mar-a-Lago after Trump threatened to impose sweeping tariffs on Canadian products. Joining him at the dinner are Trump's picks for Commerce Secretary, Interior Secretary, and National Security Advisor. Retailers in the country have used giveaways and bigger-than-expected discounts to reward shoppers who ventured out on Black Friday. More online at srnnews.com.
Hi, Mom. It's that time of year where our focus turns toward the holidays. For many, it's been a tough year, but now the holidays are coming. It's not about the gifts you get. It's about the gifts we've already been given. This is the time of year we show compassion for those who are in need in our own backyard and overseas too. It's also a time of the year that we should be grateful that we absolutely live in the greatest country in the history of this world. At Bergen Roofing, every one of their employees truly believes in doing their best at the office and at home. Stuart Bergen leads by example, and trust me, we're close friends. I can attest to it. So this holiday season, while many others are finding their inner Grinch, please take the opportunity to just do better. Be a better husband or wife, a better brother or sister, son or daughter, or even a better friend. Just be better to one another. Maybe your actions will inspire someone else to do the same. We all share the same air, so why not share the same holiday spirit? And while you're at it, please hug the ones you love a little tighter this holiday season. These are just some of the reasons that Bergen Roofing has been known as your neighborhood roofer. Happy holidays from the whole team at Bergen Roofing. I get frustrated when I see people getting scammed or misled. Some of these national TV spots pushing these scare tactics for Medicare coverage, they can be very misleading. You get bombarded every fall. You don't need to let this stress you out. See, I've worked with the folks at Hickory Hill Insurance. Tim Hanbury and his dynamic and growing team has helped my family on more than one occasion. Here's the thing. The world of Medicare is changing. The laws and the technology. Hickory Hill Insurance has it covered. They have the knowledge, the leadership, the latest tech, and very caring agents. Their response time to your calls, questions, and concerns is incredible. Remember, I know this. They've helped me. It's as simple as visiting their website, partdandme.com. And I bet you think it's going to cost a mountain of money. Nope, not a penny. Let the Hickory Hill team go to work for you. Visit partdandme.com. If they can help you find a better plan, they will. If they can't, they'll be honest. They'll tell you, stick with what you have, because that's who they are. Online, it's partdandme.com, or just call Hickory Hill Insurance, 708-7398. That's 708-7398. Here's a shocker. It gets hot in South Carolina. Seems kind of crazy that if you got a home or you got a business, you're sick of the power companies controlling you, demanding rate increases every 6 months, sick of your power bill going up. You can't even pick your power company, but you can choose Broker Solar to give you some control over that bill. Solar panels are not free like some of these stupid yard signs say. These door knockers often, they're scam artists. Not Broker Solar. They don't go knocking on the doors. I told Ken I want some incentive for our Point family listeners. So, purchase a system from Broker Solar. Your first solar panel is free. Look, I'm not into scare tactics, but this is an election year, and the way things are going, well, maybe it's time to stop relying on the government or these power companies. Broker Solar offers you control. Solar can save you money. These solar batteries are amazing. What a huge difference they can make. Do your homework. Online, it's brokersolar.com, or just call Ken. I trust him. I really do. You can also. 807-7417. That's 807-7417.
Please press button now. No, number 1.
All right, welcome back, everybody. High School Football Scoreboard, Sports Talk Media Network, Founders Federal Credit Union. Thanks to Founders for being a part of the broadcasts once again all season long. Wonderful people. Founders Federal Credit Union all throughout South Carolina, so heavily involved in high school and college athletics in South Carolina. We appreciate them very much. David, Georgia Tech just scored second overtime to go up 40-34. I was trying to explain to young Josh what it means, the expression "say uncle." He's never heard that before. I said, one of these teams is trying to make the other say uncle. He's like, what does that mean? He's like, what does it mean when you say uncle? So, and it looks like, so they're in the second overtime. They don't, do you have to go, is the second overtime you have to go for 2? Yeah.
You have to go for 2 in the second overtime.
Okay. And then you get to where it's just a 2-point shootout.
And then every time after this is just 2-point plays.
Yep. Georgia broke that up. So 40-34. So all Georgia's got to do is score, and then they go for the 2-point. So we'll see what happens here. Heck of a game over in Athens. While we're on the subject, what's your take on tomorrow up in Death Valley?
I'm not clear. I'm not sure who I think is going to win. I think it's as evenly matched as it's been in several years, to be honest with you. I mean, where South Carolina is strong, on the defensive line, Clemson's offensive line is beat up. Can Clemson run the ball? Will Sellers, how will he act in that moment? I think it's going to be like a 20-17, one way or the other. I think both defenses are going to show up and play.
Yeah, they both do. They're very similar. I mean, two quarterbacks that are very similar. Running backs that are very similar. Georgia just scored on their first play, so now they'll have to go for two to see if they can win it. One play, and the Dogs are in the end zone. And, mindset. This is sort of like Georgia Tech. Georgia's mindset is we're Georgia, and we're not going to lose. And they have battled from behind, and now they've got a chance to win. Clemson's mindset is we're still Clemson, and you're in our place, and you beat us here last time, but we're not going to lose. I mean, the mindset can carry you a long way as well if the other team doesn't match the mindset. So we'll see what Georgia does here as they try to go for two and get the win. Let's see here. One more time, let's run through these scores for those who might be tuning in late. Maybe you're leaving a party, or maybe you're getting off of work, or maybe you've been to a ball game and you haven't heard all the scores across the state. Let's tell you what's happened. Georgia goes for two, and they fail. So now we'll go to the 2-point shootout of the overtime. So once again, 5A, Division I, Dutch Fork 52, River Bluff 14, Spartanburg 35, J.O. Man 9, Somerville 49, Ridgeview 20, and Sumter 34, James Island 17. In Division II, Northwestern 35, Greenwood 6, Gaffney 21, Hannah 7, Irmo 56, West Florence 7, White Knoll 23, Berkeley 3, 4A, West Side 49, Camden 7, South Point 49, Daniel 35, South Florence 49, Hartsville 21, North Augusta 63, Gilbert 14, 3A, Mountain View 30, Crescent 14, BHP 35, Powdersville 14, Lawrence 30, Keenan 14, Oceanside Collegiate 28, Dillon 21, 2A, Clinton 31, Batesboro Leesville 14, Fairfield Central 48, Central 28, Barnwell 28, Sherrod 27, Manning 34, Philip Simmons 21, 1A, Abbeville 41, Lamar 24, Louisville 31, HKT 6, Cross 12, Hannah-Pamplico 7, Lakeview 42, Bamberg Earhart 32. Hey, David, high school coaches in our state, there's two things that they love this time of the year. One is to be practicing football on Thanksgiving and after Thanksgiving, and two, getting a phone call from us on a Friday night after Thanksgiving, because that means they're still alive. They're still playing in the playoffs. With that in mind, we welcome Spartanburg High School coach Mark Hodge to the high school scoreboard after a win tonight to advance 35-9 over J.O. Man. And, Coach, first, congratulations. Terrific performance tonight. Obviously, both sides of the ball for you.
Yes, sir. Our kids played really well. Played hard the first half, but played good the second half. So I was really excited for them and the coaches. Like you say, if we talk in this time of year, it's a great thing.
Coaches love to take our phone calls this time of the year. What about your defense? 9 points, holding man to 9. What did you have dialed up on defense?
Well, we're just playing with a lot of pressure, a lot of confidence, and a lot of speed right now. We're a little bit banged up, so we're not playing as fast as we want to be. But hopefully, we heal up a little bit, and then confidence. It's a lot of seniors, and so I think our kids are doing a good job communicating with each other, and even communicating with the coaching staff.
Offensively, what did you do well, you think?
Well, first half we left a lot of points on the field. I really felt like we left 21 points on the field with just missed passes. Thought we had a great game plan and just was a little bit overzealous, I guess. But then we stayed the course and, told them, I said, most physical teams going to win. And, early on we were getting runs for 1 yard or -1 and said, just stay the course. 1 yard turned into 3 yards, 3 yards turned into 10, eventually 10's bust. And that's what happened over the course of the game. And, so I was just real happy with the fact that our kids fought for 48 minutes.
David, you got a question for Coach?
Yeah, Mark, congratulations. And, I had the opportunity to come and speak to your team during the spring, and I got a sense, and I think I told you this before I left, that I had a sense that this was a very special group of kids. You'd been there long enough to where you had established your culture, and I just thought the respect they had, for listening to what I said and just the way they interacted, I really felt like you were going to have a good year. I mean, talk about what you've done with the culture, and you mentioned these seniors that you've had for a few years now, and I know there's a big reason why you're where you're at.
No doubt. It's what we do is a little different. It's hard to play for us. We've got 7-period day to begin with, so our kids got math, science, social studies, foreign language every day, where really nobody else does, and then we've got our grade expectations where they got to be making all C's and all those classes to play weekly and dress. They got to wear professional dress on Wednesday, and they got to do community service. They got to do all these different things other than just play football. And at the end of the day, they bought into that, and their families have bought into it, the communities, and you just are watching a bunch of young men just become better young men, and then that's translating over to the football field as well. And then they're gifted with the game. So you put all that together, and you get special groups, is what we got right now.
Certainly sounds that way, Coach. And now you get to face Dutch Fork again. You've seen them a lot over the years, so you know what to expect. They beat River Bluff 52-14. Very few opposing coaches have figured out a way to beat those guys. You think you got, well, not necessarily a secret, but you think you've got a plan. You think you got a way to knock them off.
There's no doubt. I think our seniors are 2-2 against them. I think we won as freshmen and went 1 down there last year. And they beat us pretty good down there in the playoffs a couple of years ago. So we know we can beat them, and they know they can beat us, and it's going to come down to really the most physical team and the team that doesn't make mistakes. And at playing them early in the year, they exposed some of our physical and mental weaknesses, and it was kind of a reset for us. And so, a lot of respect for those guys. Coach Knotts and his team. They're who you want to play, to who you want to beat, and I'd play them every week, honestly. And so I think they're excited with the draw. We're excited with the draw because at the end of the day, whoever goes on and plays at state is, you've earned it. And so we're really looking forward to the challenge in front of us.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And of course, Dutch Fork, they're a prideful group. They're used to winning. Tom Knotts is used to winning. Spartanburg High School is a prideful group and has been used to winning for a long time as well. You've only been there a relatively short amount of time at Spartan High, but you kind of feel like you got that program and that pride that Spartanburg High School enjoyed for so many years. You think it's back? You think the attitude is back to where it used to be?
Yeah, we're pretty close to it. The good thing is our kids are going to fight you now. When I first got here, we kind of went through a lull where, different things were grabbing our attention and maybe weren't giving full all-out effort. And so over the last 2 or 3 years, I think we've gotten to the fact that we're going to fight you to the end regardless of the score. And so that's all you can really ask for. And hopefully, we'll have a good week of preparation. I know our staff will have a good plan, as will Coach Knott. And we've now played each other enough. We've got a body of knowledge on each other. So we know what they're going to do, and they know what we're going to do. And it's fun, too, because obviously, they're next level with their schematics and schemes, so it brings the cerebral side to it. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to physical blocking and tackling and catching and throwing.
Should be a good one. You got to come down here. So road's pretty good coming from Spartanburg down to Columbia these days, so you should have a smooth trip down here. So we
That's
look
good to know.
They've done a lot of work out there.
I tell you
so.
what was really impressive though is when you were going over the scores a while ago. That you actually pronounce Clinton the right way. Very few people really do that unless you're from there. So I just wanted to tip my hat to you on that.
Believe me, I've heard it enough from Chris Bergen, who used to work there, the correct way to say it. So, and Coach Richardson and all those folks. So, thank you. Have a great weekend, and we'll see what happens. Might ring you up next week.
I hope so. Thank you much. God bless. Go Vikings.
Thank you very much, Coach Mark Hodge at Spartanburg. Meantime, the overtimes continue in Athens. Neither team's been able to win it, and so I think now Georgia is coming up with a chance, David, with their 2-point attempt, another 2-point attempt here. They've gone back and forth here since it got to be 40-40. They've gone back and forth, failing to convert on these 2-point plays. So we'll hang on here for a second before the break to see if Georgia is able to pull it off. And we got a flag coming in, so we'll go to the break and see what happens. We got a flag coming in on Georgia for a hold or something, which means it'll probably go over to Georgia Tech. Real quick, David, and we'll do Shelton Says in a moment, but Mark Hodges got Spartan High back, doesn't he?
Oh yeah. And as I was saying, when I went and spoke to their team, I got the vibe. Like I could tell that they were going to that their program was about to become elite again. Mark is just a great guy and a great coach.
All right, hang on. Be right back. We'll let you finish. Be right back.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at experiencecolumbiasc.com.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
Set your youth up for a lifetime of financial success with Smart Start from Founders Federal Credit Union. Smart Start products and educational resources help teach kids and teens the basics of saving, budgeting, and smart spending. Help them learn smart money skills to jumpstart their financial journey with Smart Start savings, debit, certificates, and educational resources. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Touchstone Energy cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
Loser, 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 loser. You know, I'd be embarrassed to have a rivalry game like Florida has tomorrow. Playing that woeful Florida State team. Just be embarrassed. Georgia scored on their two-pointer, and Georgia Tech has just come back and scored, David. They're going to go to a sixth overtime. Yeah, this one's going to be one for the classics. They'll be replaying this one all night long. 42-42 after 5 overtime periods. So I don't know. This could go on all night. We just made contact with that. You'll like this, David. We just made contact with the Gaffney coach, Dan Jones, who's, of course, about to coach, maybe only 2 more games, then he retires. And he's always good about coming on, but he declined. You know why, David?
Why?
He said they were watching film. So they're already watching film. I'm assuming they're watching film of Northwestern and already starting to work on their game plan for next week against Northwestern. How about that? Not wasting any time.
That's why winners win.
No doubt about it.
Because they work.
No doubt about it. All right, so let's go ahead and do an edition of Shelton Says. We've got upper and lower state semifinals next week, so everybody wants to know what Shelton says about the matchups for next week. Let's do it a little differently. Let's start in 1A and work our way up. How about it? So, David, upper state, you got Abbeville against Louisville, and Shelton says.
Well, no surprise. This is what we all thought was going to happen. I kind of lean to Abbeville, but this is a toss up. I'm gonna say Abbeville. I'm gonna say Abbeville, but I really think Louisville. If there's any team in Class A that can go and win at Abbeville, it's this Louisville team. But I'm gonna say because you're gonna make me say I got to say Abbeville.
Okay, Shelton says Abbeville. In the lower state, it's Cross and Lakeview. And Shelton says.
Well, these are 2 of my favorite guys, 2 of my favorite coaches, Sean Wright at Cross and Darrell King at Lakeview, and they're also very good friends. They talk about once a week. So we kind of thought this might happen. I think Cross's defense is really good, but I think Lakeview's just got a little bit more on the offensive side, that little more balance. They scored a lot of points on a good Bamberg team tonight, and I just think, it would be great to have, for old time's sake, a Lakeview Abbeville state championship game.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna go Lakeview.
Okay, where does Cross draw its players?
From Cross.
Which is, I'm talking about area-wise, which is where?
Berkeley County. It's out there, kind of in the rural part of Berkeley County. About 10, 15 miles from Berkeley, and Cane Bay, kind of in that circle over there, closer towards Lake Marion, up 176.
Okay, and again, Shelton says?
What did I say? Lakeview.
Lakeview. Okay, we got to pick up the pace here. 2A, Clinton and Fairfield Central, Shelton says.
Well, as I said for the last 3 weeks, I picked Clinton in August to win the state championship in 2A, and I'm going to pick them to win next Friday.
All right, and Shelton says Clinton. How about Shelton says Barnwell Manning?
I like Barnwell. I think Manning's running game is tough to handle, but I think Barnwell has more offense, and I think it might end up being a high scoring game. But I'm going to go Barnwell over Manning.
Did you see the controversial play in that game tonight with Barnwell?
I have not. I heard you talking about it, and I've been scanning my Twitter and have not seen it yet.
I'll send you the video. A friend of mine sent me the video. It's not great video, but he says you can see the ball hit the ground. The guy picks it up and returns it for a touchdown. They call it a touchdown. So 3A, they're going to overtime number 7 in Athens. I hope to be in sleep before this game's over. 3A, Mountain View, Belton Honeypath, Shelton says.
This is a tough one. I'm leaning, and I have leaned for most of the season to Belton Honeypath. So I'm going to say the Bears will win in a shootout.
Okay. The Bears in a shootout, David says. And Shelton says Loris and Oceanside Collegiate.
I am going to say Oceanside because of their balance on offense. I think that what they do in the passing game will be hard for Loris to defend, and I think Oceanside will find a way. But it will be a competitive, hard hitting football game for sure.
All right, Shelton says OC, and to 4A. West Side, South Point, Shelton says.
Oh my goodness, man, this is gonna be a good one. We got to do the show from there next. I'll go. Well, you got to go with the champ. Until somebody beats the champ, you got to go with the champ. So I'll take West Side in. We'll probably say 81-74.
Yeah. Scoreboard's going to be lit. And Shelton says South Florence and North Augusta. Shelton says.
Well, I think North Augusta, another team that I got to address during the spring and that I came away feeling very positive about. This is going to be a tough one because South Florence is playing extremely well right now. And to beat Hartsville like they did tonight kind of tells me they're rolling. So I'm going to go with South Florence in a close one.
Let's move to 5A Division II. Shelton says Northwestern Gaffney.
I'll go with the Trojans. I think they have been the best team all season, and I think they'll win it.
Well, that's why Coach Dan Jones is looking at film. He knew you would say that. And Shelton says Irmo White Knoll.
I like Irmo. I think Irmo, when the brackets came out, I circled them as the lower state champ, and I think they'll take care of White Knoll.
All right, let's go quickly, David, here. 5A D1. Dutch Forks, Spartanburg, Shelton says.
Close game, close as Dutch Forks played, but I'm going to take Dutch Forks.
At home, probably a wise decision. And Shelton says Somerville, Sumter, Shelton says.
Somerville will win the game. Very close game. Again, the closest that Somerville has played all year. Sumter will give them a lot of problem with their running game, but I'm going to take Somerville in a close one.
All right, there you go. Shelton says. And as we leave you, they're going to go to an 8th overtime. Ooh, wait a minute, maybe not. A flag has come in on Georgia Tech's play, so I think GT's going to get another shot at it in the 7th overtime. So we'll see what happens there. David, thank you very much. Have a great weekend. I know you'll be watching the Palmetto Bowl tomorrow, and we will get with you next week.
Okay, man. Take care.
Thank you. Want to thank all the reporters that called in tonight, the coaches that we talked to. Thanks to all you coaches and you players and you officials and you parents for making it all happen for us. Thank you, Josh Cohen. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you next week.